So today I wanted to present to you the finalized Obsidian Tracker. So I'm sorry if it took a little longer than expected. There were just a few user edge cases or use edge cases that made the tracker actually fall apart and not work as intended. So I had to take the time to figure out those things, learned a lot from it, made a lot of mistakes, but we finally have a finished product here. So the Obsidian Tracker really is just a dual dial tracker. So if the left part has a dial, the right part has a dial, and both dials go from 0 to 9. So you can basically track any number from 0 up to 99. So obviously the tracker is based on the design of Gloomhaven. So the shape is pretty much the Gloomhaven shape. And then I wanted to pay homage to Gloomhaven for the inspiration by including not just the shape and everything, but also the patterns. So the patterns that you see, like the golden patterns on the trim, essentially, of the tracker came from Gloomhaven. So the front has that trim, the back has that trim as well. And even the, I don't know what you call this, like the points in which the discs are connected to the actual tracker, the body of it, those also came from the Gloomhaven tracker. Of course, there are a lot more dual dials out there. Aeon's End, I believe, has a dual dial tracker as well. But this particular one, I really wanted to, replicate Gloomhaven because, well, it's a pretty good game, and I really like the design of that particular tracker. So, of course, I didn't want to rip off too much from Isaac's game and created my own texture. So I really like black stuff because I'm colorblind or semi-colorblind. So I like very desaturated things. So the design is just a bunch of marble textures and other stuff that are bunched together. And hopefully you guys like the final effect. So I made it a little shiny, as you can see. So a little gloss finish there, so to speak. And then you'll see one of my favorite details whenever I try to replicate all these components are the cardboard layers. So you can see at the side, I made it a little darker to fit the motif, the dark motif a little more. But you can definitely see that there are layers of cardboard there. That's pretty cool. So the last thing, of course, or the main thing I want to talk about, of course, is how the dial actually works. So it's pretty simple. In as much as I want the dials to be interactable themselves, meaning you turn the dials as you would in real life, that's just really not possible in I guess, a user-friendly way. You'll have a lot of, I guess, compromises that you'll need to deal with if you wanted it to do that, or I'm honestly really not even sure if it's possible to do that. So how the Obsidian Tracker works is that you have a couple of buttons here. Right here. Okay, so there are buttons at the top and buttons at the bottom. So how you know, but in the center, there's no button. So you can actually freely manipulate the Obsidian Tracker by holding it anywhere at the center. So what is the center exactly? So you look at the pivot points or the origins, whatever you really want to call it. And that's basically the delineation of where the buttons start and where the center end, essentially, right? So anywhere to the right of this part are the buttons that control the right dial. So anywhere to the left of this part is where the buttons that control the left dial are. And of course, the top portion would iterate the dial up, the bottom portion would iterate it down. So similarly, the left side would do that as well. So even this center portion, so where this is you can actually manipulate the pickup and manipulate the dial from there. But yeah, I mean, this center portion is really the best way to do it. Okay, oops. That was a fail rotate, but yeah. And yeah, this is very stable. This will never come apart because it's actually just one object. So one of the things that I really wanted to touch on is that, yeah, I tried to build this in like 4 parts within Tabletop Simulator. So basically the top portion, the bottom portion, and the 2 dials. But the way I actually programmed it or scripted it made it fall apart. Well, not really fall apart, but if the dial was essentially skewed like this, the dials wouldn't work as well. I mean, I don't want to waste your time by going into that, but suffice it to say, I had to learn how to create custom asset bundles within TTS. So custom asset bundles are basically assets you get straight from Unity 3D. Unity 3D being the software that Tabletop Simulator is built upon. So if you wanted more complex assets, you would go there. And because of all of my research, that seemed to be the only real way to combat the problems that I was having in terms of usability. So we had to go do that. And I mention that because it unfortunately means that, let me turn on the interface right now. It unfortunately means that customizing this is not as straightforward as I wanted it to be. So initially somebody wanted to be able to customize the look of the tracker, meaning have their own texture, have the dials look a particular way that they wanted, and you could have done that through a normal customizable 3D object by changing the diffuse image. But this time around, unfortunately, because of those really bad user edge cases that I had to struggle with and I had to get rid of, I really needed to go for the custom asset bundle, which then makes the whole texture thing a lot more complicated. So I won't get into that now, but suffice it to say, if you want a custom look for this particular tracker, then you'll need to either learn how to do assets on Unity 3D and export it and all of that. It's a little difficult. Like, I had a hard time doing it. Like, it took me a couple of hours to figure it out. But I am an old Unity 3D user, so I was able to figure it out relatively quickly, I suppose, compared to the normal ETS user. But yeah, it's either that and you have to export your own textures, or just get in touch with me. I would very, very much gladly help you out if you do want to customize the look of this Obsidian Tracker to your game's look. So just let me know. I'll be happy to help. So hopefully you'll find the Obsidian Tracker very useful for your own mods. If you guys have any other component that you want me to play around with and create, maybe it's like some weird custom dice, some cube tower, or anything really, a tracker, really the sky is the limit. If you guys have anything at all that you've wished that there was, a version on TTS that you could play around with, meaning, you wish a physical component had a version in TTS, then please let me know. I'm pretty sure I'll be interested to actually, play around with it, because, playing around with these things are what really let me learn a lot of things when it comes to Tabletop Simulator. So this thing, learned a lot from this particular project, and I was really, really glad to actually give it to you guys as a thanks for being curious about these things and really helping me learn as much as I can and really enjoy using ETS and making all this cool stuff like the Obsidian Tracker. So again, thank you so much, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed it. The link to the Steam workshop for the Obsidian Tracker should be found on the details of this post. So just click on that, subscribe, and you can just copy and paste this, or cut and paste it in your own builds, and you can have as many of them as you want. Woo! And you should be good. All right, thank you again, everybody. And if you have anything at all that you want from TTS, do get in touch. I'll be happy to try and help you out. Thanks, guys, and talk to you again soon.